Hi, I'm Charles Malky, biologist and plant expert with Ivory Organics 3-in-1 Tree Guard Paint. And today I want to talk about a really important issue, and that is what is the most deadly animal that lives on pretty much every single continent with the exception of Antarctica. And it's pretty much in everybody's backyard, and I'm here to show you that here today. And the answer? It's this guy right here. It's the mosquito. Mosquitoes are carriers for a parasite known as malaria. And it's been reported that here in the United States we've had recently up to 2,000 cases per year. And the other large concern, which is already made its way into the United States, is the Zika virus, and that's another concern. But the mosquito is in pretty much everybody's backyard. And my concern here, and the reason I'm doing this video here today, is because I want you to protect yourself, I want you to protect your family, I want you to protect your neighbors, and I want you to protect your community by following a few simple steps in your own backyard today, and making sure you repeat these patterns every week, every month, and make sure you're actually maintaining a healthy garden and protecting your community. So I'm going to read a few facts to you that I prepared before the video that I don't want to forget. And I usually don't like reading a script, but I don't want to miss any of these important facts I want to share with you. So mosquitoes are a carrier of the malaria, and malaria is not a virus and not a bacteria. It's in fact a single cell parasite that basically lives within the mosquito, and when the mosquito bites you, that parasite works its way into your bloodstream. And then the Zika is a virus, and that's the parasite that attacks the mosquito. And then again, when the mosquito bites you, that virus works its way into your bloodstream. The World Health Organization estimates that there'll be over 20 million clinical cases with people that are infected by mosquitoes and causing disease, and of them anywhere from 500,000 to 1 million will die each year as a result of these bites from the mosquitoes. And although the United States has eliminated malaria from the United States in the 1950s, it still has worked its way due to travels into the United States, and as I said earlier, about 1,500 to 2,000 cases have been reported in the United States every year for the last few years. So the life cycle, let me share this with you here. So the life cycle of the mosquito is, and we'll start here with adult. What the adult will do is it actually searches for water and will lay its eggs. And it says over here egg raft, as the eggs will typically float in the water until they actually hatch and develop into these larvae. And the larva spend its entire life within the water and then eventually becomes a pupa, which then emerges into an adult that can now fly. So the cycle is as so. What you can do in your garden today is try to remove this one element which will prevent it from continuing its life cycle, which is remove water. By removing water, you're not giving the mosquitoes a place to lay the eggs. If they do lay their eggs, again, by removing the water, you've removed the larva and as well as the pupa. So the goal is to make sure that you keep your garden dry. And I'm going to give you a few tips on what you can do to keep your mosquito populations in your backyard under control. Come and follow me here. So here I am now underneath my Meyer lemon tree. This is a lemon tree that's native to China. It's presumed to be a cross between a mandarin orange and a lemon. So it's one of the sweetest of the lemon varieties. And what I want to point out here is you'll see that there's a drain that's over here in the back. And this drain obviously is containing water and storing water, you know, from season to season. So what I'm doing is taking off this drain pipe, and what I'm going to do here is basically put some bleach. And you just want to put a couple of tablespoons of bleach in each of your drain holes. And then we just put the cap back on. And if there are any eggs in there, if there are any larvae in there, if there are any pupa in there, we've now just killed them by doing so. The other thing I want to show you while I'm actually here is you'll notice that the citrus tree is covered in white paint. Ivory Organics makes 3 colors, which is white, green, and brown. Depending on your preference. And what it is basically, if you want to read here, it's a natural tree trunk and branch barrier, protection against damaging sunburn, insects, and rodents. And especially going into summer, and there's a lot of indications of sunburn here in the garden, which I'll share with you later. But this here is a product I just wanted to share with you while we're here. Now I'm going to show you another thing to look for when you're in your garden. Follow me now. So here we are now next to a bromeliad. And if you take a look in here, you can actually see the water that's actually pools inside of each one of these plants. I'm trying to shake it here so hopefully capture that image of the water. Here's another one. If I shake it, hopefully you can see that water that's down there. I haven't watered this plant in days. This is extremely dangerous. By the time I'm watering all the other plants, the water that actually catches onto these leaves gets pulled into the middle. It's a perfect pool, a nice lake for the mosquitoes to actually lay its eggs and continue its life cycle right here in the plant. What I want to share with you on this one, and we just published a video this last week where we had a summer gardening class up here in the Hollywood Hills. And we had a guest speaker from the Theodore Payne Foundation. Her name is Lisa Novik. And she advised that every single garden should have a native plant species within your garden. A native plant species being, it could be milkweed, it could be buckwheat, it could be a variety. I believe there's about 6,000, we're here in Southern California, but 6,000 California native specific species that we can actually introduce in our garden, which will help support the bees that are local to this area, the butterflies that are local to this area, the lizards, the birds, so on and so forth. So there's a whole cycle that can actually benefit, but this bromeliad is of no benefit. We do have vegetables here in our garden. I've got here a zucchini plant. I'll actually even share with you my zucchini real quick while we're this close to it. We can actually take a look at how large these zucchinis are here in the garden. We've been picking at least 1 or 2 per plant. We've got a few of them here in the garden that are spread among flowers and trees. But this bromeliad, we've made a decision to actually remove it. It's impossible to control the water situation. What we're gonna do is recycle this plant into our compost bin. And I've got here my shovel, and what we're gonna do is just simply operate it. I'm gonna show you hopefully how much water is actually in these plants. Let me just tip it over here for you and just watch how much water actually pools onto that stepping stone. Look, full of water. So this is the perfect breeding ground for, again, mosquitoes and its entire life cycle to be completed right here within this plant. So we're gonna eliminate it, again, for protecting yourself, your family, your neighbors, and your community. If you've got bromeliads, they're not native to, we're here in Southern California. You know, if it is, maybe it's something you consider, but we're actually gonna replace this plant with something that will actually benefit the ecosystem and the beneficial insects, birds, and animals that live in this community. And let me give you one other gardening tip. Come and follow me. So here we are next to 2 potted plants. This here is my cutting that I made from a Eureka lemon. This here will grow into a standard size lemon tree as it's not grafted. And I've actually got on this plant as well, I don't know if you see down here, but it's also got green paint. So I've used the Ivory Organics 3-in-1 Tree Guard color green on this to protect it from sunburn. And you can see it's already bearing lemons as this is mature wood. It was a cutting that I made last year. And what I want to show you is I just watered this right before the video. And my concern here and what I want to share is you can see that's a lot of water. I'm going to try to get that in the video. If you can zoom in over here, if you can see all the water that's actually here in the saucer, which is at the bottom of the pot. So this here is again another breeding area for mosquitoes. If you take a look to the other side, this is my fig tree, and then down below you'll see that it's dry. I actually watered this fig tree yesterday. You want to make sure that if you actually have water in the saucer that it dries out within a day, then hopefully stays dry for several days in between waterings, just in case there's any part of that water life cycle of the mosquito going on. You want to make sure that it's dead. The last tip I want to share with you, and I don't have a pond here in my backyard, but if you do, make sure, most people actually have koi, but they forget to actually put those mosquito feeding fish in your pond. They pretty much resemble guppies. They're very small and their primary diet is mosquitoes and the mosquito larvae. So make sure you actually have those small fish in your ponds, and that'll help control the mosquito population even further. Well, I hope you found this video informative, and if so, be sure to like it. Most importantly, subscribe down below so you don't miss out on all the other informative gardening videos by Ivory Organics 3-in-1 Tree Guard Paint. Thanks again for watching, and happy gardening.